Okay, I reloaded. Let's talk, man. Let's talk about Al-Quadin, Muhammad, Kelvin, Sheppard, Amon-Ra, St.Brown. Uh, and for the most part, man, start off with Kelvin Sheppard. Easily could have got a game ball. Whatever, he got into the lab and did. I mean, Dan Campbell gives his coaches the autonomy to do what they want to do. And, even with, when the Lions are healthy, Aaron Glenn didn't play a lot of zone. They were man-to-man. And now you see with Kelvin Sheppard, they're doing what needs to be done defensively. They play a lot of man, but they play a lot. They play a lot more zone this year. So, people got mad because Aiden Hutchinson dropped the covers. That's not a big deal. A lot of times you want to give a quarterback a look and you drop again in cover. It's not a problem. People made a big deal about it. It's not a big deal. I would like to continue to see it happen because that confuses the defensive line, it confuses the quarterback, and you got a guy with Aiden Hutchinson who got great hands. Now let me say this too about Aiden. I didn't know Aiden Hutchinson was 6'7". I did not know he was that tall. I seen him next to Cade Cunningham. He was taller than Cade. I'm like, let me go see how tall Aiden Hutchinson is. Because I know some issues about his arm length. 6'7". I said, Jesus Christ. I did not know that man was that tall. But, I seen that there was, I forget the name of the Facebook page. They do like local high school stuff, and they was tweeting all the local guys that was making plays yesterday. And Aiden Hutchinson went to Divine Childs. I used to play them in the Catholic school league back in the day, hooping. So shout out to the Divine Child Falcons. I remember them. We play them every year. But yeah, I mean, he had a perfect game plan. Remember years ago, I think he was the one saying, well, the reason why we're not doing the spy on the quarterback, was that him? I believe he was the one that said why they wasn't doing the spy. They used the spy here and there. Trevor Nowoski made a great open field tackle on Lamar Jackson. They had a lot of gap discipline. I see somebody tweet like on September 8th, well, Tyleik Williams is trash. Tyleik Williams is a fucking animal, dude. Let me say that. Tyleik Williams is a fucking animal. And one thing that's coming to revelation is that Derek Barnes said it. He said that Kelvin Sheppard was more aggressive than Aaron Glenn, and he is. And not only he's more aggressive than Aaron Glenn, he's more multiple than Aaron Glenn. He's going to go multiple defenses. They're going to play zones. They're going to play too high. They're going to shift guys. You got to understand, they're not even 100% comfortable in the coverages that they're playing. They're not even 100% comfortable yet with him. As a defensive coordinator, he's not even 100% comfortable. And what you got to understand with him and John Morton, there will be bumps in the road. There will be times where they don't have an answer or they have issues. So you have to understand it's not going to be smooth sailing. They're going to have their ups and downs. As Ben Johnson did for years in the second half. They fixed it. There's going to be ups and downs with these coordinators. With these players, they go through phases, right? But his game plan last night was immaculate. Really, the Baltimore Ravens, obviously outside of the last touchdown they scored, they really shouldn't have had one or two of them other touchdowns. Had the Lions, Brian Branch made the pick. Another one, it wasn't even his fault. They called a chop block on him. He got pushed to the ground. So they were doing some things, bad PI call on Terrion Arnold, where DeAndre Hopkins, old veteran, grabbed him. There was somebody else dropped the pick. Who dropped the other pick? Was it Terrion or DJ Reed dropped the pick? So it was a couple opportunities that defense left out there, but they're still gelling. There's things that they're perfecting in practice that they're not comfortable with, that they will get comfortable with. There's things they're going to have in their back pocket. What's so funny, side note, Jared Goff, that play they had with St. Brown, he said he had been begging for Dan Campbell to call that play with John Morton, and they wouldn't call it, and they finally called it. They called it at the perfect time. So, but defensively, he said he didn't get much sleep. He said that. I didn't get much sleep watching Lamar. And what he did was, he did a phenomenal job. He did a phenomenal job of mixing it up, whether it was a spy every now and again, whether they blitz 3, blitz 4, drop 7 in coverage. One play by Derek Barnes, obviously it was a point of emphasis. He was playing the flat, and Lamar took off, and he had the play recognition to go attack Lamar. He was patient, and that's what it is with Lamar. You got to be patient. You got to have patient pursuit. You know, might kind of seem like a little bit of but no, you got to be patient. You can't over pursue. And Al-Quadin Muhammad, he was perfect. His length, his athleticism, his pursuit, his hustle. It was perfect. Reader made some plays out there. And Al-Quadin Muhammad, I mean, I don't know why they were trying to force Marcus Davenport out there, but for the most part, if Davenport can come back, maybe they can hold the fort down to what they got. But I think they'll find somebody else. I think at some point, Pascal will be back, but they'll find somebody else. They're going to get somebody else. Mark my words. They're going to get somebody else. But Al-Quadin Muhammad, his length, that's the difference. Davenport's a good sized guy, but I just think when you're dealing with that many injuries, it's in the back of your head, and you're not as athletically gifted as he was coming out of the University of Texas San Antonio. So Al-Quadin Muhammad, his length. Now, when I look at a guy like Brian Burns, why they was talking about I didn't like Hutchinson because his arm length. That arm length, it has a lot to do with obviously shedding blockers off, but also being able to bring these quarterbacks down. And Muhammad, it was a couple times where they was able just to get Lamar Jackson, and Al-Quadin Muhammad is just, he's got the prototypical body you want from a defensive end. It is what it is. Even more so than Aiden Hutchinson, he has the length. And sometimes you want that thicker defensive end on the run side, and that's where Josh Pascal come in at. That's where they will sub in Makai Wingo at. Sometimes you want that big defensive end to stop the run. But Al-Quadin Muhammad is ideal for athletic quarterbacks, and like I said, they're going to get somebody else. I know that for sure. Just to have that depth behind Hutch. That other pass. It don't have to be nobody special, but as you see teams like the Dolphins lose, the Panthers lose. Well, not the Panthers, they did win. But things like the Dolphins lose, and maybe Houston having their problems, and you see some of these teams like the Giants, they might go out there and get a guy just to get them that extra boost. Because you see what Philadelphia did with 8 waves of pass rush. So, but Al-Quadin Muhammad, he played really, really well last night. But they got to get them some help behind him. Hutch and him can't play that many snaps that early in the season. So, especially on a short week, they got to get them some help. Some guys that can, hold the fort down, and I think they will. Pascal will be back. We don't know if Davenport injury is season-ending injury. We haven't got that good word yet. But what you will see is they will get somebody else. And have you seen Aleem McNeil transition back in? What you hope with him is he's starting to, shake off the rust and starting to hit his stride in the playoffs. So you're going to see a lot of things change. They probably will bring somebody else in to really give them some juice. But, St.Brown, I think he's established himself as the best receiver in football. And I think a lot of people were kind of saying, it's a quarterback or it's a scheme thing. He cut his teeth with Tim Boyle. He didn't figure it out with Jared Goff. People forget that. He started to come alive when Tim Boyle became the quarterback. People forget that. Tim Boyle is who St.Brown had his coming out party out with. That's when he started to become productive, and then Jared Goff came back, and then they formed a connection. But a lot of it is Tyreek don't have a quarterback. A lot of it is, Justin Jefferson, ain't looking too good in Minnesota. He finally rotated quarterbacks is caught up with him. Jamar Chase, we thought him and Jake Browning was going to continue what they did last week in Minnesota. That was a no-go. So now what you're seeing is, St.Brown, with a lot of guys kind of fading into the black. Malik Neighbors, with Russell, they just don't have enough right now. When you look over at, guys like Jerry Jeudy, don't have a quarterback in Cleveland right now. A.J. Brown, they started to come out of shell yesterday with Philadelphia. C.D. Scam, he injured. Puka Nacua is right there. He's doing his thing. Puka Nacua, St. Brown right now, early in the season, they're leading the pack. They're leading the pack. I'm trying to think about who else is out there. Pittsburgh. I'm trying to think. Pittsburgh. Well, DK is, but really, that's really about it, man. You know, the kid out there in Jacksonville getting off to a slow start from LSU, but it's still early, man. But right now, Puka and Amon-Ra St.Brown are the two receivers, and I probably got to get an edge to Amon-Ra. I think he got more touchdowns. So Amon-Ra seemed to be, you know, that guy. I seen Steve Smith do a video, said he's scheme proof. You know, basically he is, you know, he can do everything well. And the way he run routes and, you know, he's a really good football player. So, hey, thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the link tree, find me on X, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Peace.